Stop scrolling. I mean it. Not because you have nothing better to do, but because what is about to happen in the next few minutes could completely alter the trajectory of your life. This is not a coincidence. This is not the algorithm randomly placing this in front of your eyes. There is something far more intentional happening here, something that was set in motion long before you pressed play, long before you even picked up your phone today. You were guided here, and I need you to understand that before anything else. A seal that has been locked over your life for exactly 1826 days is being broken right now. Think about that number. 5 years. 5 full years of something pressing down on you. Something invisible but incredibly heavy. Something that you could not quite name but you absolutely felt. Every time you tried to move forward, you hit a wall. Every time you felt like things were finally turning around, something would pull you back. Every time you prayed, every time you cried out, every time you lay in bed at night wondering when things would change, it seemed like the heavens were silent. But they were not silent. They were preparing. And now the preparation is complete. I want you to think back to 5 years ago. Where were you? What were you hoping for? What dreams did you have that still have not come to pass? What prayers did you send up that still seem unanswered? Now I want you to understand something critical. Those prayers did not go unheard. Those tears did not fall in vain. Every single one of them was collected, cataloged, and placed before the throne. And today is the day the response comes. Not tomorrow. Not when you get your life together. Not when you feel worthy enough. Today. Right now. As you are sitting there, reading these words, something is shifting in the spiritual atmosphere over your life. Your enemy noticed. Do you understand what that means? Before you even clicked on this, before the thought to watch it even entered your mind, your enemy saw what was coming and tried to distract you. He tried to make you sleep in. He tried to get you into an argument with someone you love this morning. He tried to fill your schedule with 100 urgent things so that you would not have time for this important thing. The fact that you are here, against all of those obstacles, against all of that resistance, is itself a miracle. You fought your way here even if you did not know you were fighting. And that tells me everything I need to know about the kind of person you are. You are a fighter. Even on your worst days, even when you felt like giving up, even when you went through the motions with no real hope left in your chest, something in you kept going. Something in you got out of bed. Something in you showed up. That something is not just your personality or your stubbornness or your willpower. That something is God inside of you, the breath of the divine that was placed in you before you were born, the peace of eternity that has been sustaining you through every season of drought and darkness. You have not been surviving on your own strength. You have been carried. But carried is not the same as arrived. And I want to talk about that distinction because it matters deeply. Being carried means you have been kept safe. You have been preserved. You have been protected from things you never even knew were targeting you. But arriving means something different. Arriving means stepping into the fullness of what was always meant for you. Arriving means the doors that have been closed are now opening. Arriving means the things that have been withheld are now being released. And that is what this season is. This is not another season of being carried through difficulty. This is the season of arrival. Heaven is waiting for your agreement. Read that again. Heaven is waiting for your agreement. This is one of the most misunderstood principles in the spiritual life. God does not override your will. He never has, and he never will. He placed inside of you the extraordinary gift of choice. And even when he has prepared something magnificent for you, even when he has set the table and called your name to come and eat, he waits. He waits for you to say yes. He waits for you to step toward what he has prepared. He waits for your agreement. And so I am asking you right now, in this moment, will you agree? Will you say yes to what is being offered? Will you open your hands and receive what has been held in reserve for this exact day? I know some of you are hesitant. I know some of you have said yes before and felt the sting of disappointment when things did not unfold the way you expected. I know some of you have prayed bold prayers and then watched things get worse before they got better, and the discouragement was so deep that you almost stopped praying altogether. I know some of you are here today with your guard up, cautiously hopeful but protecting yourself from another heartbreak. And I want to speak to that version of you with tremendous tenderness. Your caution is understandable. Your protective instinct is real. But I want you to consider the possibility that the disappointments you experienced were not evidence that God was not listening. They were evidence that the timing was not right. Timing is everything in the spiritual realm. A seed planted in the wrong season does not produce fruit. Not because the seed is bad, not because the soil is bad, but because the moment was wrong. You have been a good seed in prepared soil, waiting for the right season. And the season has changed. The warmth you feel, that small but persistent stirring in your chest right now, that is not wishful thinking. That is the first movement of spring after a very long winter. Let me tell you about someone I know. She had been believing for her breakthrough for 4.5 years. She had done everything right. She prayed. She fasted. She read her scriptures. She served in her community. She gave even when it was sacrificial. She kept her attitude right even when circumstances were painful, and nothing seemed to be moving. Friends and family started to gently suggest that maybe her expectations were too high. Maybe she needed to lower her hopes to something more realistic. Maybe she needed to accept that life was just going to look a certain way. She started to wonder if they were right. Then one Thursday evening, completely out of nowhere, everything changed at once. The call she had been waiting for came in. The door that had been closed swung open. The relationship that had been broken was suddenly on the path to restoration. 3 things happened in the same week that had been stuck for years. And when she looked back, she realized something. All of that preparation, all of those years of staying faithful when there was no visible evidence of progress, had been building up like water behind a dam. And when the dam broke, it all came through at once. That is how God works sometimes. Not in a trickle, in a flood. And your flood is coming. Something shifted. Can you feel it? I want you to sit with that for a moment. There is something in the atmosphere right now that is different from what it was when you woke up this morning. If you are being honest with yourself, there is something in your chest that feels lighter, something in your spirit that feels more awake, something in your mind that feels less heavy than it did before. That is not your imagination. That is a genuine spiritual reality. The weight that has been pressing down on you, that exhausting, invisible heaviness that you have carried for so long you almost forgot what it felt like to not carry it, is being lifted right now. I want to give you something practical, because I believe in the intersection of the spiritual and the practical. I believe that heaven works with you, not just for you, and that there are things you can do to position yourself to receive what is being released into your life. There are 3 doors in your life that need to be closed before the door of blessing can fully open, and I want to walk through them with you. The first door is the door of unforgiveness. I know this is not what you want to hear. I know that the person, or the people, or the institution, or the circumstance that hurt you did so deeply, and perhaps even unjustly. I am not asking you to pretend it did not happen. I am not asking you to minimize the pain. I am not asking you to reconcile or restore the relationship if it is not safe to do so, but I am asking you to release them from the debt you have been holding over them in your heart. Because here is what unforgiveness actually does. It ties you to the thing that hurt you. It keeps you energetically and spiritually connected to the wound. And as long as you are tied to the wound, you cannot fully move into the new thing. Forgiveness is not a gift you give to the person who hurt you. It is a gift you give to yourself. It is the key that unlocks your own prison. Close that door today. The second door is the door of unbelief. Now this one is subtle, because most people who struggle with unbelief do not think of themselves as unbelievers. They still pray. They still show up. They still go through all the motions. But deep in the core of them, in the place where their most honest thoughts live, they do not really believe that the thing they are hoping for is going to happen for them. They believe it happens for other people. They have seen it happen for other people. But something in them whispers that they are the exception, that they are somehow not qualified for the miraculous, that their situation is too complicated or too far gone or too long overdue for things to actually turn around. That whisper is a lie. It is one of the oldest lies told to human beings, and it is told by the same voice that has been trying to stop you since before you were born. Recognize it, name it, and then close that door. The third door is the door of fear. Fear of being disappointed again. Fear of getting your hopes up only to have them crushed. Fear of looking foolish for believing when nothing seems to be happening. Fear of what people will think if you start acting like you expect a miracle. Fear of the miracle itself, because change, even good change, is terrifying when you have been in the same painful place for a long time. Fear tells you to stay small, stay safe, stay in the familiar discomfort rather than risk the unfamiliar possibility of something better. Fear has been guarding you in a prison and calling itself protection. It is not protecting you. It is containing you. Close that door today. Type 777 in the comments if you are closing those 3 doors right now. I mean it. Do not just read past this. There is power in declaration. There is something that happens when you move from passive observation to active participation. When you type those numbers, you are making a statement. You are saying to the universe, to yourself, to whatever forces might be listening, that you are choosing to walk through a new door. You are not just a spectator in your own story. You are the protagonist, and the protagonist takes action. Now I want to talk about what happens next, because this is where a lot of people get tripped up. They have a moment of genuine spiritual experience, a moment of real shift, a moment where something lifts and something opens, and then they go back to their regular life, and slowly the old patterns creep back in, and the old heaviness returns, and they wonder if that moment was even real. The moment was real. Do not let anyone or anything convince you otherwise. But the moment needs to be anchored. And here is how you anchor it. First, tell someone, not someone who is going to minimize what you experienced or explain it away with cynicism. Someone who will celebrate with you. Someone who has been praying with you and for you. Someone who will look you in the eye and say, yes, I see it. I feel it too. This is real. Breakthrough is meant to be witnessed. There is something about speaking it out loud to another human being that solidifies it in the natural world. Find your person and tell them what happened today. Second, write it down. Get a piece of paper or open your phone and write the date and write what you experienced. Describe the shift. Describe what you felt. Describe what you are believing for. Because 3 months from now, when you have forgotten the intensity of this moment, you are going to need to read it again. The enemy will try to make you forget. He will try to make you chalk it up to emotion or wishful thinking. He will bring back the fog. And when he does, you will have something to hold in your hand. Something with a date on it. Something that says, no, this happened. I was there. I remember. Third, act as if. I know this phrase has been overused, but the principle behind it is ancient and true. Begin to behave like someone whose breakthrough has already been set in motion. Not with false positivity or toxic denial of your current reality, with genuine faith that operates from the assurance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet seen. Make the decision you have been putting off. Have the conversation you have been avoiding. Take the first step on the path that you know you are supposed to walk, but have been too afraid to step onto. Heaven moves when you move. The parting of the sea did not happen before Moses lifted his staff. The walls of Jericho did not fall before the people marched. Movement first, miracle second. I want to talk to you about the specific nature of what is coming, not in vague spiritual language that could mean anything, but in specific, concrete terms, because specificity builds faith and vagueness breeds doubt. What is coming for you in this next season is the acceleration of things that have been moving too slowly. You have watched other people get promoted, get the relationship, have the baby, launch the business, buy the house, step into their purpose, while you have been standing in the same place believing the same promises. The acceleration is coming. What took others 5 years will happen for you in 5 months. What seemed like it would require a decade of effort will suddenly click into place with a kind of ease that surprises you. What is also coming is reconnection. There are people who were supposed to be in your life, divine connections, God-ordained relationships, who got separated from you through the chaos and confusion of the last 5 years. Some of them you know. Some of them you have not met yet. They are being drawn back into your orbit right now. The person you think about sometimes and wonder what happened to them, there is a reason they keep crossing your mind. Pay attention to who appears in your life in the coming days and weeks. Not everyone, but there will be specific people, and you will know them when you see them, because something in you will recognize something in them. What is also coming is the restoration of your joy. This one might be the most significant of all, because joy is not just an emotion. Joy is a fuel. Joy is the energy that makes everything else possible. And for many of you, joy has been the first casualty of these last 5 years. You have been surviving. You have been functional. You have been keeping it together. But that deep, effortless, inexplicable joy that used to live in your chest, the kind that could not be explained by your circumstances because it was not dependent on your circumstances, it has been quiet for a long time. It is coming back, not slowly, not gradually, but suddenly. You will wake up one morning, and it will simply be there again, and you will wonder where it has been and how you survived without it. And the answer to both questions is grace. I need to say something to those of you who are in the most pain right now. Those of you who came to this video today not out of curiosity or routine spiritual practice, but out of desperation. Those of you who are in a crisis. Those of you for whom things are not just stagnant but actively falling apart. Those of you who woke up this morning wondering how much longer you can hold on. I am talking directly to you now, and I need you to hear every single word of what I am about to say. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not too broken to be reached. You are not too far gone for a miracle. The situation that looks hopeless to everyone around you, including sometimes you, does not look hopeless to the one who created matter and time and possibility itself. The thing that no human hand can fix, the situation that has no natural solution, the door that is locked from the inside with no apparent key. These are not problems in the spiritual economy. These are simply setups for the kind of story that no one can explain away. The kind of testimony that builds faith not just in you, but in everyone who hears it. Your suffering is not pointless. I know it feels that way. I know the pain has been so relentless and so heavy that it seems like pure waste, like something terrible happening to you for no reason. But there is a spiritual law that says nothing is wasted. Every tear becomes water for someone else's drought. Every lesson learned in darkness becomes a light for someone walking the same road behind you. Every mountain you climb, even on bloody hands and knees, becomes a marker for the person who comes after you and needs to know the mountain can be climbed. Your pain has purpose, and the purpose is becoming clearer by the day. Hold on. I mean that with every fiber of the being behind these words. Hold on, not because holding on is comfortable, or because the end is in sight yet, or because things are showing signs of changing. Hold on, because you do not know what one more day of faithfulness will produce. You do not know what is being set in motion right now in the invisible realm because of your decision to stay, to keep going, to refuse to quit. The most powerful thing you can do in this moment is simply not give up. That is not a small thing. That is everything. Now, let me tell you what I mean when I say this is the moment God has been preparing you for. Because it is not just a metaphor. It is not just comforting language. There is a very specific reason why you have been through what you have been through, and it is connected to a very specific thing you are about to step into. The preparation has been perfectly calibrated. Every disappointment taught you something you were going to need. Every delay built something in your character that the next chapter requires. Every person who walked out of your life created space for someone better to walk in. Every closed door protected you from something that looked good on the outside, but would have been destructive on the inside. The preparation was not punishment. The preparation was architecture. You have been being built. And buildings take time. Not because the builder is slow, but because integrity cannot be rushed. A building that goes up too fast falls down too easily. The depth of the foundation determines the height of the structure. And friend, the foundation that has been built in you through these years, the depth of trust, the capacity for endurance, the ability to hold peace under pressure, the resilience that has been forged in the fire of your hardest seasons, that foundation is extraordinary. And what is being built on it is going to require every inch of it. You are about to handle something that your former self could not have handled, not because your former self was inadequate, but because what is coming requires a version of you that has been through what you have been through and come out the other side. You needed the fire. Not because God is cruel, but because gold needs fire to become pure. And you are gold. You have always been gold. And now the refining is complete, and it is time to be displayed. I want to spend a moment on something that I believe is critically important, and that is the subject of community. One of the most effective strategies used against people in seasons of spiritual breakthrough is isolation. When things start shifting, when you start feeling the stirring of something new, the enemy's first move is to cut you off from the people who would celebrate with you, encourage you, and hold you accountable to walking into what God is opening up. He whispers that no one would understand. He whispers that you would sound arrogant or delusional if you talked about what you were experiencing. He whispers that you should keep it private until you have more evidence, more proof, more to show. And so people go silent about their breakthroughs. And in the silence, the breakthrough loses its momentum. Do not do that. Find your people and talk. Find the ones who speak the same language, who believe in the same things, who have been in the valley and come out, who can look at what you are walking through and say, yes, I know that. I have been there. And I can tell you it does not end there. Those people exist. They may not be in your immediate circle right now, and that is okay. But seek them out. You are not meant to do this alone. The spiritual journey is not a solitary one. Even the great mystics and prophets and apostles moved in community. Even the ones who spent years in the desert came back to a people. You are meant to be part of something larger than yourself, and that something is also shifting right now to make room for you. I am going to tell you something, and I want you to receive it as deeply as you can. God is proud of you. Not pleased in the way you might be pleased when someone does exactly what you expected of them. Proud in the way you feel proud of someone who has done something genuinely hard. Something that required more than you thought they had. Something that you watched them struggle through with your heart in your throat, wondering if they would make it. And then they made it. That kind of proud. The kind that involves something very like wonder. The faithfulness you have shown in this season. The kind that nobody saw. The private faithfulness. The faithfulness in the dark when there was no audience, and no reward, and no visible fruit. That faithfulness moved heaven. Never let anyone tell you it did not matter. It mattered enormously. You have been asking in various forms and at various volumes the same question for a long time now. Is this going to change? Is something going to shift? Am I ever going to walk in the thing I know I was made for? Am I going to look back someday and see that all of this had meaning? The answer to every one of those questions is yes. A resounding, unreserved, total, and complete yes. It is going to change. Something has shifted. You are going to walk in what you were made for. And it is going to be more than you imagined, not in spite of the suffering but partly because of it. And you are going to look back, and you are going to see, with a clarity that takes your breath away, that every single piece of it was necessary. Every single piece of it was being used. Every single piece of it was contributing to the story that you are now beginning to tell. Someone watching this right now has been in a season of silence. Not just the silence of waiting, but a particular kind of silence where you used to hear clearly, and now you hear nothing. Used to feel the presence, and now feel nothing. Used to have certainty, and now have only questions. This season of spiritual silence has been more disorienting than any of the outward circumstances because at least with outward circumstances you know what you are dealing with. But when the interior goes quiet, when the thing that anchored you and oriented you seems to withdraw, you are left floating in a way that is deeply unsettling. I want to say to you specifically, the silence was not abandonment. The silence was trust. You were trusted to keep walking without the constant reassurance. You were trusted to hold on to what you knew, even when you could not feel it. That is a higher level of faith than what you had before, and it was not comfortable. But it produced something in you that comfort never could have produced. And the silence is ending now. The voice is coming back. The clarity is coming back. The sense of presence and direction and knowing is coming back. It may not look exactly the way it did before, because you are not the same person you were before, and the relationship is deepening rather than returning to what it was. Something richer is coming. Something that does not depend as heavily on feeling because the feeling is now supported by a depth of knowing that feeling alone could not have given you. You are being upgraded, even in your perception, even in your capacity to hear and to know and to move with spiritual intelligence. Let me tell you what I am seeing for the person who has been carrying something alone for a very long time. There is someone watching this who has a secret weight, not a shameful secret, just a heavy one. A concern that you have not shared with anyone because you did not want to burden them, or because you did not think they would understand, or because you have been carrying it so long that it has just become part of you and you have stopped noticing how heavy it is. I want to speak to that weight right now. You do not have to carry it alone anymore. Part of what is being released in this season is the gift of burden sharing. The right people who can help carry what you have been carrying. Practical solutions to things that have seemed unsolvable. A lightening of the load that is going to feel like setting down something you did not realize you had been holding. The weight is being lifted. I want to address something that I sense for several people watching this. There is a dream that you gave up on. Not reluctantly and not easily. You held on to it for a long time. You prayed over it and planned for it and hoped for it, and when it seemed like it was not going to happen, you went through a genuine grieving process, and then you put it away. You told yourself to be realistic. You told yourself to be grateful for what you have. You told yourself that the dream was perhaps not meant to be, or that it was not the right season, or that God had something different for you. And you moved on. Or you tried to move on, because the dream did not fully die. It just went quiet. It just went underground. And it surfaces sometimes, usually unexpectedly, in a song or a conversation or a moment of stillness. And when it does, there is still a pang, still a wish, still something that reaches toward it before you pull yourself back. Pull yourself back no longer. That dream is being reactivated. Not in the exact form you imagined it, because you have changed, and so has your understanding of what you truly want and need. But the essence of it, the core of what you were reaching for, the deepest longing underneath the specific shape of the dream, that is alive. That is valid. That is going to be honored. Give yourself permission to want it again. Give yourself permission to move toward it again. Give yourself permission to be someone who has a dream and believes that dreams come true because they do, and yours is one of them. Now I want to issue a warning, because I believe in giving people the full picture. What is coming is good. Genuinely, deeply, transformatively good. But good seasons still require your active participation. There are going to be moments in the coming days and weeks where you will be given a choice between the old pattern and the new direction. And the old pattern is going to feel safer, more familiar, less exposed. And you are going to need to choose the new direction anyway. There are going to be opportunities that present themselves in unusual packages that do not look the way you expected the breakthrough to look. And you are going to need to recognize them and say yes even when they make you nervous. There are going to be moments that require courage. Real courage, the kind that acts even when the fear has not fully left. And you are going to need to do the thing afraid. Do the thing afraid. Write that down. Do the thing afraid. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision that something else is more important than the fear. And what is more important than your fear right now is the life that is waiting for you on the other side of it. The version of you that is fully walking in purpose, fully alive, fully in the place you were always meant to be. That version of you is not fearless. That version of you has simply learned to act before the fear can veto the decision. That is the skill being developed in you right now. That is the muscle being built. Exercise it. I want to close with this. And I want you to receive it not as a nice sentiment or a pleasant way to end a video, but as a genuine, specific, targeted word that was meant to reach you today. You are not behind. I know it feels that way. I know that when you look at the people around you and compare the progress of your life to the progress of theirs, it can feel like you are running a race and everyone else got a head start, and you are still trying to catch up. But that is not what is happening. You are not in the same race as the people around you. You are in your own race, on your own track, with your own pace, your own course, your own finish line, and the timeline of your life. The specific and carefully considered timeline of your individual journey is not late. It is exact. You are not behind. You are precisely on time. You are seen. In all of the ways that you feel invisible, in all of the rooms where your contribution went unnoticed, in all of the moments where you gave everything you had and received nothing in return, in all of the quiet faithfulness that had no witnesses, you were seen. Every single moment. And the one who saw it kept a perfect record. And that record is now being honored. You are loved. Not as a concept or a theological position. Personally. Specifically. By name. With full knowledge of every complicated and contradictory and difficult thing about you. Loved anyway. Loved especially. Loved with a love that does not require your performance, and is not affected by your failures, and will not be altered by anything you do or do not do. That love has been the constant underneath every changing circumstance of these 5 years. That love is the foundation that was being built on before anything else. And that love is what is driving everything that is being released into your life right now. This is the moment. Not a moment. The moment. The one that everything else has been moving toward. The one that the difficulty of these years was preparing you for. The one where you stop asking when and start experiencing now. The one where the story turns. The one where, when you look back years from now, you will say, yes, that was the day. That was the hour. That was the moment everything changed. Go. Step into it. It is waiting for you. Heaven is waiting for your agreement, and the moment you give it, nothing in your life will ever look the same again. Go.